Let's talk about our next subject, and that is we're going to talk about tracking expenses. First off, are you tracking your expenses when you are driving rideshare? And if you're not, you really need to. There are a lot of expenses that you can incur when driving, and you need to make sure you're tracking all this because guess what? When the tax man comes, and the tax man comes, he is going to want his taxes. But if you have some expenses that you're tracking and keeping track of and doing it diligently, you can get that tax man to give you want a little bit less. So maybe he'll give you a couple of quarters back. But yeah, that's something that you definitely need to do. Actually, one of your behind the wheels that I just went through today, which is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks, talks about tracking expenses.
Yep.
And, he's been doing it and making sure he does and, all that stuff. So he's been doing pretty good there. And one of the things that we recommend when it comes to tracking your expenses is a good tracking app. And one of the apps that we do love here at the Rideshare Guy is Solo. And the Solo app can track work-related expenses in the app. And then you can also export that as a CSV file. So when you do have to send it to your CPA or when you have to upload it for filing your taxes, you have it all right there. So another reason why to download the Solo app, which is great. And then also, as I always say, I like the competitiveness side. So I like seeing, on X, some of the people who are posting where they are located across their city and, seeing how they stack up to them. So that's the leaderboards. So I don't know what you want to say when it comes to tracking expense or anything like that, but it's definitely important. So there's so many things that you can track. First, right when you go online to when you go offline, not when you have a butt in the car, but when you're driving around, even if you're driving aimlessly, which is not recommended,
Yeah.
track those miles because that is mileage that you are using towards a particular service. If you are eating during your shift, if you are going out and eating, you can actually track that as an expense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that you can do when it comes to car maintenance, when it comes to repairs, when it comes to, many different things, car notes, a lot of different things like that. Those are all going to be expenses. So this is something that you really need to be paying attention to because this is not a job. This is not a W-2. They may think you are an employee, but treat you like an independent contractor. And because they treat you like an independent contractor, that means you need to track your own expenses. So, yes, definitely something that you should be doing.
Yeah. Look, I am a huge proponent. A lot of people a lot of drivers I interview on behind the wheel actually have been using Solo, and this just kind of gets rid of the headache, bro. I mean, it's a difficult thing as it is, and then we got to, as independent contractors, we're responsible for our taxes, for our expenses, and keeping track of that, it could become really cumbersome, right? And number two, you know, when you flip the app on, P1, P2, P3, it's called, okay? All those three sections or segments of a rideshare driver's life are tax deductible mileage. So let's say, for a lack of a better word, you went on a nature hike, you took a long trip you shouldn't have taken. You have your app on, you're going to dead mile back, right? A lot of people, Chris, don't have their app on and they just dead mile back. I'm going like, why? Just leave the app on. That's a tax deductible mile for you. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can create all these things, but then there, thinking about it versus doing it are two different things. And Solo will help you definitely keep track all of that. In fact, they give you weekly reports. Okay. They go like, okay, these were your expenses this week. And then you can look at that and go like, wait a minute, the expenses were a little too high. And like Chris said, who doesn't like competing with other drivers in your city? They literally will give you, who's making what in your city. Then you can see if you're outperforming or underperforming, like I say on my finance channel, of majority of the drivers in your city. And then there's other bells and whistles of the app, obviously, which we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks. But I like this app. I think it's a no-brainer for keeping everything, keeping check on everything you're doing as a rideshare driver.
Yep. And one of the things that we are going to be doing next is we want to see how you stack up against your area. So make sure you send in your screenshots of where you are when it comes to your leaderboard in your area. send it to Sergio, and we're going to see how people are stacking up compared to, the top drivers in their area. Are they the top drivers? And what's everything going on there? So make sure you send in our screenshots there.
Yep. Thank you for the super chat, Jonathan Mestrel. If you take the standard CPM deduction, okay, what other expenses are deductible, or does the standard deduction? Okay, if you take the standard IRS standard mileage deduction, which is for 2024, is 67 cents this year. That covers everything. That covers your depreciation. That covers everything. However, if you have an old 10-year-old Prius you're driving with, you definitely want to use the standard mileage deduction, because your CPM, cost per mile, is probably in the 30s, 30, 40 cents. So you want to get the higher deduction. If you're driving a brand new 2024 car, you may want to think of not doing the standard mileage deduction, and to do an itemized deduction, in which case you will need solo, because then you can write off your car washes, and depreciation is going to be higher. All these things are going to be different depending on what kind of car you drive, what model car, how old. You need to consider that the differences between taking most drivers will take the 67 IRS standard mileage deduction, but it depends on your car. So every situation is different.
And it's just better to track anyways, because at the time that it is for taxes, you'll be able to look at both sides and say, oh, okay, well, the standard mileage deduction will get me X, the expenses will get me Y, which one's greater? And you go with that one. So that's really, if you're not tracking half of it, then you're in the dark. And I mean, you could be hitting greater than the standard mileage deduction and not knowing it. So it all just depends on the expenses that you're doing, and you track them. And the other side of the coin too, with tracking that, is you're going to actually have a better understanding of how much money you're truly actually making. So that's one of the biggest things.
100%. I mean, look, this is the business,
then,
people,
yeah,
as much
and
as
then
you guys
not only
hate it.
that, on top of it, if there's a major car repair, let's say you have to get your transmission replaced, and you need to do it, and you can't get a new car. I mean, you could be looking at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 depending on the car, and things like that. That could be potentially including more with your expenses than what the standard mileage deduction can have. So it's just better to have both, because then again, when it comes to tax time, you can just look and see which one's more and go with the one that's more.
Yep, I agree. So, yep.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club, with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.